Howdy folks, it's Colteor here. Feeling a little under the weather, but I'm bringing you an exciting matchup from the final CI play-ins that will ever happen. We've got Voyager versus Kenix, seen here as Eduardo Carapinga, which I'm definitely mispronouncing. A little bit of background on the players. Voy has played play-ins last year, however he lost to Sadly in what is probably the quickest play-ins or even main event game to ever happen in CI. It was done and over with in 10 minutes, and Voy was not on the winning end of those 10 minutes, so he's certainly looking to make a return this year in better fashion. And honestly, I've been testing with him. I had him in ADVPL, and I'm really liking his plays currently. I think he's got a good chance to make it at least out of play-ins, if not do solid in main event. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. He's got to get through Kenix first. And Kenix is another solid player. He's been doing well in RBY and GSC for years now. He's been in SPL, I believe playing GSC and SPL. And you see that in his avatar here. And yeah, just generally not someone you necessarily want to play against if you're hoping for an easy time. He is not certainly an ADV main, but he's not a new player to the tier either. He's played it in a bunch of Pokemon Perfect stuff, a bunch of Discord Tour stuff, that kind of stuff. I'm sure he ladders. All that. So, interesting matchup here. I'm not going to waste any more of your time narrating. Let's just get right into it. We've got turn 1 lead matchups, Zapdos versus Skarmory. Voy obviously favored. Is he going to sub, BP, or what? BP straight to Dugtrio on the Blissey. Bad look for Kenix. We've got Zap Dug in current year, folks. I don't know if any of you are memeing that or not, but it's going to be effective here. It beat ups the Blissey for a good 85% and lives the Ice Beam with ease. I don't know if that's modest or bold, but it lives it either way. And Blissey goes down, and that's, if you're Voyager, that's got to be exactly what you're hoping for, turn 1. You've got to be hoping for exactly that. He goes to his special wall, you go to Doug, and it's gone. So now Zapdos, he's probably got a Suicune or a Jirachi or a Celebi or all three in the back, and they're all going to try and go crazy with Blissey gone. And Kenix has got to have something like an arrow or a tire to back him up here. Otherwise, he is going to be very up a creek without a paddle against all these special attackers. He elects to sacrifice Skarm HP for another spike, hoping that that can carry him against the onslaught. Celebi is going to come in for Kenix. It gets toxic. Natural Cure will hear that later. And later is right now. Zapdos BPs as the Swampert comes in. Voy sends in his Suicune. So, if this is off-Kun, and it's faster than the Celebi, it could be dangerous, and it is faster. We do see Ice Beam, but it barely does over half. With Leech Seed and leftovers out of Sand, Celebi is going to live another one. And indeed it does. Do we see CM? We see Recover. So Celebi with Leech Seed is actually going to be able to stall out this Suicune. Not what you want to see if you're Voyager, especially because the Dugtrio is dead to that second layer of spikes if he doesn't have some way to get rid of them. Tar comes in on the HP Grass, gets chipped quite hard, but does live the second HP Grass. Forces in Pert for Kenix. See what Voy goes to. He's got Zapdos threatening revealed Toxic and potentially HP Grass. Kenix just goes straight back to Celebi, and we do see a Claydol for Voyager. So if he gets the spin off, then Dugtrio will be able to come in and trap the Celebi, and he does. That could be big for Zapdos later on. Of course, Kenix does still have a relatively healthy Skarmory. Oh, but Voy elects to just straight boom the Celebi with Claydol, making this game 5-4 Voy's favor. And Voy reveals his last mon. Jirachi gets crit on the switch by an Aerodactyl Earthquake. That's pretty tough. It probably would have lived, and it would have gotten a decent chunk taken from it, but yeah, Jirachi is gone, and it's suddenly an even game. Oh, but wow. HP Grass revealed from the Suicune, but the Swampert lives it. Hanging on by a thread that's at 10% right now. And Kenix reveals his own last to be Magneton. Not going to do much here unless it's End Salak, and it's not. It goes down to the surf. And suddenly Suicune's looking incredibly threatening. He's got to get it into arrow range quick. Drillpeck is not going to help with that as his Voyager goes to Zapdos. And Thunderbolt or HP Grass is getting a kill here no matter what. So if you're Kenix, you've got to try and make something work with Aerodactyl real quick. He decides to let the Swampert go to HP Grass, assuming Voy has it, but even HP Ice should be enough at this point. Voy does go for a T-Bolt, in case Kenix tries to get cute and go Arrow on HP Grass or anything. But none of that, just a raw Ice Beam. Thunderbolt again. If Voy tries it now, he'll be in range to die from the next Ice Beam. So if you're going Arrow, now's the time. But he doesn't do it. And HP Grass does come down, so the Swampert's dead. This game is nearly over, I'd say, folks. Rock Slide comes down, and Tyranitar comes in from 60%. It should be able to live unless we get a flinch. We do. Do we see a miss? Do we see Suicune live? What's next? Dugtrio gets sacked, doesn't live any arrow move at this point, and it doesn't do anything to either it or Skarm. So it's a fair play. In comes Suicune. And it crits the Skarmory, but it crits the Skarmory, potentially mattering if that Skarmory was Toxic or Protect. And Aerodactyl then doesn't get the next flinch it needs to beat past the Suicune. Would have, of course, had to hit the Tyranitar as well, and the follow-up on the Suicune, even if it did flinch there. However, the end result is going to be a Voyager victory. Honestly, by the skin of his teeth, a little bit worse luck against that Arrow or that Skarm. And this game could have gone the other way. But he got what he needed with the Zapdug turn 1. That was huge. And even though Kenix's team was pretty prepared for special attackers, with the Celebi and with the Arrow, I don't know, the rest of it just didn't get there. The Mag was pretty useless. The Pert got HP Grassed and got taken out of the consideration pretty quickly. Skarmory Spikes got spun away before they could really do much. And yeah, that's about the long and short of it, folks. So, we have got at least one more game. I know if this is the last game or not, but you guys don't. And it is going to be, if Voyager wins, he will advance 2-0 and face... Oh, let me check who he's going to face, just for the hell of it. If he wins this match right here, he will face the winner of Sprinkles versus Pokology. I've not watched that set yet, so I'm not going to say who won. But that's the stakes for whoever wins the rest of this best of 3. So, let's see the lead matchup. Tara versus Hariyama. That is about as one-sided as Zapdos was last game. Hariyama instantly going to knock off the Skarm. That's a lot of teams' best switch to the Hariyama instantly. And Kenix reveals Hariyama and Fortress, so likely a slower team. And out comes the Charizard from Voy. Charizard versus a Milotic team. That could be rough. That's absolutely one of Zard's weaker matchups. The Celebi, however, is probably meant to help with that matchup quite a bit. Goes for a Leech Seed as Milotic goes for Toxic. That'll keep it healthy. Do we see Leech Seed 3 attacks? CM? BP? What do we see? Another Leech Seed from Voy, probably predicting a switch, and Milotic just recovers, trying to stay healthy no matter what. Fortress comes down from Kenix. He's probably trying to scout whatever this Celebi is doing and get that toxic damage racking up as well. Goes to Blissey. That's certainly not going to immediately fear anything Celebi does, and it eats a Hidden Power Fire. So 4 Mons revealed from both teams. Both Spikes. Voy's team much more offensive than Kenix. When we see a Wish Blissey, so Kenix absolutely aiming to play the long game here. We'll see what Voy has for breaking power against this Hariyama Milotic Fortress core. Hariyama does get focused on the switch, but because Blissey had Wish before it switched out, doesn't actually take much damage. And we see Voy brings out his trusty Claydol again. It does fear HP Bug from the Fortress, however it gets a big Earthquake crit off, and suddenly Fortress is actually super low. However, 2 layers of spikes are up, and Kenix does have a Gengar with the Fortress. Not incredibly common, but certainly a good pairing, for the same reason Skarmory Gengar is. However, he also goes to his Pursuit Tire right after that. On the Psychic, gets spun on, but gets a big crunch off, and crunches again as Claydol Earthquakes. Voy, thinking he can keep spikes off from the 17% Fortress. Well, that's going to hinder his plan. The Pursuit Tire is faster than Metagross for 1, and crits it for 2. That is pretty devastating. A well-timed Metagross boom is exactly how a lot of these teams break Milotic. And with that and Claydol gone, it might be pretty tough for Voyager here. Giga Drains the tire on the switch with Celebi. That's good. Celebi's definitely going to be one of your progress makers here. However, you've got to get past Blissey somehow. Leech Seed will stop it from killing you, sure, but you're never going to kill it with just Leech Seed chip, so what's the plan? Do you try and get spikes up? Do you try and beat it with tire? But the problem with that is it can just wish and go to Hariyama all day. Sure, you can double in Celebi, but you only have 5 Giga Drains left to threaten this Milotic. And those Leech Seeds and Giga Drains can definitely be swallowed up when you're attacking into such a bulky team as this. And even that Fortress is at risk of being healed up if Kenix gets a well-timed Wish off. Frankly, if this Skarmory isn't Drill Peck, then it could get healed. Goes for a Roar, which luckily doesn't drag in Fortress. It drags in Hariyama, who is already at full. And another Spike from Voy. If he gets the second layer, the Fortress is dead, and there's nothing Kenix can do about it. I know it says 17, not 16, but PS does round down, folks. So it's a little lower than that. It's probably at the 16, sorry, 2 spikes is 18. So I'm dumb either way, but if it was 16, let it be known I'd be right. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. We've got Tyranitar in on Milo here. Does get the Focus Punch off as Milo recovers, but look at that. 45, that is not enough to get through without a crit. And you better have a more reliable game plan than that. If it's turn 33, you've got no booms left. What are you doing? Got to get your spikes up if you're asking me, but Voyager's not going for it. The Fire Blast Tire dissuaded him earlier. The Blissey seems like a good opportunity to me, but Void disagrees. He goes to Tire, and he goes for a Focus Punch again, hits Milo on the switch with a Spike down, and even then, it's still not in range of the next Focus Punch unless he gets a high roll. And of course, no matter what he does, Milotic's going to recover before the Focus Punch goes. So it's just another opportunity to get Celebi in. Tar, again, I really think Voy needs to go to Skarm at some point, get his layers up. Especially because it would end up in that Fortress being unable to get wished or any nonsense with leftovers. Gengar comes in for Kenix. He's going to Wisp the Celebi. Does obviously fear Psychic. It's almost certainly not staying in here, unless he's going for a prediction, but why would you risk that? And indeed he doesn't. He just goes straight back to Blissey. Even a Psychic crit here would not be enough to kill the Blissey. And Voy does finally go to Skarmory, aiming to take care of Fortress with a Spike. Wish from Blissey and Roar from Voyager. I don't know who he's so scared of coming in there that he needs to Roar it. Luckily, he goes for another Roar on the turn Wish would have actually landed, which was a better play, as he did catch the Fortress, finally. And now, no matter what, the Fortress is at 5%. There's one Spike down. The Fortress is dead, so this game is effectively 4-5. However, I still don't like Voy's position, even with getting that Fortress down. Even though he didn't take much damage doing that, he's taken a little damage now, and that Tire is paralyzed. That's going to make it a lot harder to luck past that Milotic. And Skarm's in now, but it's taking Surfs as it's spiking up. Those add up, especially since Skarm's leftovers are gone. Remember, Hariyama knocked them off turn 1. It can be healed through Leech Seed, however, that's going to be harder and harder to get. Here comes Gengar, and Celebi's in boom range if Gengar wants to go for that. Goes for a Fire Punch instead and gets the burn. That is bad luck for Void, because that is going to result in the Celebi dying to the burn chip and the sand here. And it's 3-3 with a pretty... Oh, that is bad for Void. Quite a bit of bad luck for Void this game. Wish on the full para Focus Punch. If that hit, there was maybe a chance that Zard could do something. If it has HP Grass and crits the Milotic or Toxics it or whatever. Void does get a Focus Punch off now, though, on a Wish turn. And here comes Milotic. Dodges Rock Slide, but it would have healed the full from the Wish anyway. And Void's seemingly going to let his toxic or his paralyzed target go, slower than everything at this point. And he's going to pack it up. He does not see any point in trying to bullshit past this Milotic with toxic or HP Grass crits or anything. And frankly, I agree. It would be quite obscenely unlucky to get past it at this point. And the Hariyama as well, and Skyrim not having lefties, it was pretty much over. Void definitely got on the bad end of some luck in that one, but this is a tough matchup either way, even with neutral luck. Would have had to time the Claydol booms and the Metagross booms very well, and the Claydol was dead before it could even get a chance to boom, so pretty much only on Metagross. But Metagross would have been great once the Fortress was dead. Would have forced in Milotic quite a bit. Different game. Who knows what would have happened if Fire Blast didn't crit or if the tire was slower or anything. But that is what happened. And we're on to a climactic Game 3, folks. Winner takes all. The last two games are for naught. The winner is the winner, and that's all there is to it. So, clean or dirty, let's see what happens this game. Tire lead versus Metagross lead. We see an instant swap from Void and Meteor Mash from Kenix. Misses, so we don't know if it's CB damage or not. And there is a Mag follow-up, but the Magneton doesn't even come close to killing. That is definitely not Magnet damage. That's probably not even max special attack damage, or if it is, it's a low roll. Meteor Mash hits Void's Metagross now, and that's definitely not CB. We see the leftovers from the spike as well. Kenix revealing his own Skarmory, so he's got a Skarmag here. Remains to be seen if there's a spinner on either side. Void's going for a Fire Blast, that's a Pursuit or a Mixtar. Either way, Suicune's going to be a great answer to it, unless it gets burned here. It doesn't. Hell, even if it gets burned, it's likely at rest to heal it off. And Celebi. A weak Surf coming down from Kenix's Suicune, so if that's a more defensively oriented Suicune, Celebi's a great answer, especially with Leech Seed. But if it starts boosting up and reveals Ice Beam later, it could be a problem. So we see Leech Seed, Hidden Power Fire, so it is probably Leech Seed 3-attack Celebi, very popular set lately. And once again, Kenix is going to have a Blissey for it. Awkward matchup. Neither of them can really do much to each other unless Blissey's toxic, which will eventually force it out. And we see a hard swap. Void doesn't even go for a Leech Seed, just goes straight to Tar on a Wish turn. Kenix really liking his Wish Blissey apparently. Goes for a Focus, hits the Suicune and keeps it below 100%, although not by much. Just keeps the tiny bit of chip on there and gives his Tar an extra turn of leftovers. And we see Roar from Kenix's Suicune, so that's probably CM, Roar, Rest, Surf. Probably not anything to fear about Ice Beam then. And if there was, it almost certainly would have been clicked on that term. He had dragged a Salamence out with Roar and went hard back to Celebi. So, almost guaranteed there's no Ice Beam. I'm a little behind, so we see a Giga Drain crit on Kenix's last one, Claydol here. However, the crit does not stop the Rapid Spin from going on, and the Claydol is weakened, but it's not down for the count, so it could still get a crucial boom or spit off later. Especially if this Blissey passes a Wish to it, which it is liable to do here against the Tar. However, he just keeps going for Seismic Toss. It worked out for him last turn when he Seismic'd on the Focus Punch, but not this turn. Seismic'd on Rock Slide. Voy goes for Rock Slide again. That is very unimpressive into the Suicune. Rock Slide, Focus Punch, Fire Blast Tower. Very good set. However, the Rock Slides are pretty unimpressive against stuff that isn't named Blissey or Zapdos. So, one double later, we got Skarmory in against Blissey. Free heal for Blissey, but that would give up the Mag Trap, and Kenix doesn't think that's worth it. He wants the Skarmory gone, and he goes for it. So he's going to leave Blissey at 46 with a Spike Down, which could be pretty impactful if he needs it later. And Kenix then takes, I don't know if you can see, you cannot see this. Kenix then goes from 300 seconds to 60 seconds on one turn. I believe that is the first time either player's timer has shown up all series. Yeah, they've ticked to 270 a couple times through the series, 240, but until now they've both been clicking pretty fast. So Kenix either really started thinking there, or Team Spain scored a goal and he had to leave. We may never know which one it was, but after that event, we see Magneton getting Fire Blast and Claydol coming in. Interesting from Kenix, because it's almost certainly in Dragon Claw range, but he does get leftovers off on it, which could be crucial. And we see Hydro Pump coming down from the Salamence, so Claydol is almost never going to be able to take that. Dragon Claw from Mence, and no rest from Kenix, and unluckily he roars in the Celebi, and not something he can take like the Tar. So that Suicune is actually very low, and combined with the Blissey being low and this Claydol basically losing to Salamence, this Salamence is like 10% on Metagross away from just winning the game outright, folks. And Voy's actually going to go to it here. Does he think he's got this Metagross in range of Fire Blast? He doesn't, and he gets boomed. Kenix maybe getting himself back in the game with that one. Aerodactyl is going to be Voice Sweeper of choice now, unless this Metagross' agility. Double Edge looking unresisted, and unless this Blissey is bold with 500 defense EVs, I think it's down for the count. And Suicune takes a lot more than 12% from Arrow CB Double Edge, folks. So that is the game. That was an interesting set. We see I Love Fredazzi coming out from Voyager at the end there, using quite the classic Fredazzi team with Hydro Pump Mence and Leech Seed, Celebi, and all. Interesting set. We saw three very different styles, three slower teams from Kenix, and three very offensive teams from Voyager. I think both players played pretty well, honestly. I think Voyager did okay to try and recover last game, but it was certainly pretty hard to do, especially with Kenix's Wish Blissey. And I think game one especially was very close. And I think it was only close because of how well Kenix was playing after that terrible start. So kudos to both players for sure. And honestly, interesting teams from Voy mostly, but I like seeing Hariyama stuff, even if it is more defensively oriented stuff. I like it. I like fighters in general. I think knockoff is a very interesting move to take advantage of. We do see the same Celebi set from Voy twice. We see Claydol twice, some tendencies there, all that good stuff. I'm not going to get too deep into the team analysis part today, for sure. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed that set as much as I did, for sure. And I hope to see you all again next round, where Voyager will be playing one of Sprinkles or Poco. You guys probably already know who won that match, but I don't. So yeah, I hope you all have a lovely day, and good night.